Mexican remittance was like, I don't know, 3.5, maybe I don't remember anymore. It was a lot more, maybe even 4 billion per month. And then it dropped all the way down to like 1.5 because there's just not as much work and not as much people working in the United States, not as much money going back to Mexico. And it's just rebuilding back up. But like I did in that training on YouTube for the Forex.Today channel, yeah, it used to be a great trade. No matter how weak the Mexican peso was, it tended to get strong right around that period. Well, and it's not necessarily the first. It's around that area, Kevin. So you got to be careful. But anyways, hey, good morning. Another trading week, another trading quarter. A quarter. I should toast you. Hey, have a nice cup of coffee. We got work to do, huh? More pipstick. Let's do. Well, we got to do some fundies, eh? That's part of our routine here. Here's Forex.Today. So one of the things that we need to do today, being the first of the week, is go through the calendar, look for event risks and opportunities. Nice. Come on, headset. Ow. What else do you want to do? Commitment to traders report, technical analysis, call it a day. What do you stink? Smell like a plan? Let's tidy up the place and get ready. Wow, did that video just stop? There we go. Oh, my shoulder's been killing me. Forex.Today, baby. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results, but please always stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. G'day, mate. My name is Wayne. I'm a currency trader. Been doing it a long time, and I'm here to help. I'm also the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay.com, an ECN that helps, well, how about this? Does its job. If you have a broker that doesn't quite do its job well, you pull the trigger, it takes 10 minutes for it to get in, get out. You always seem to get slipped in and slipped out, a pip here and a pip there. Whoa, maybe you need to change. So anyways, we're an ECN, which means you click your button, we enter it into the interbanking system and give it right to Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank really, really quickly for a fair price. Good execution. Give us a try, because I think when you open up an account, you'll say, hey, there's no drama. This is nice, good, stable. If you ever have an opportunity to talk to our customer service, I think you will find them friendly and efficient. Isn't that what you want in your trading partner? Well, give us a shot, yo. Or if you enjoy these events, pay it back, be loyal, do what's right. At least open up a demo account, right? Show some respect, huh? Hey, we do these sessions every day, 7:30 in the morning, Monday through Thursday here at Forex.Today. And every Friday at FX Street, where I'm Forex Speaker of the Year. So thank you for your loyalty. I appreciate that. Where's my mouse? Boop. So let's get to work, huh? There's no more space on top for more. Well, I guess, yeah, there is more. I had this talk with my wife yesterday. She said, well, why don't you just get 3 4K TVs? Like, yeah, so what do you, 3 55 inchers? She says, yeah, it just makes more sense. I'm like, I love you, baby. You're a keeper. What kind of wife says that? Yeah, I guess I can get 4 4Ks and do the whole thingamabob, but That's a keeper right there, huh? Yeah, totally right. You're like, baby, I love you. Yeah, so anyways, um, no, I do got to get rid of these, but they're such an investment. I mean, I bought them 1,000 years ago, but they're LCDs, and yeah, it heats the place up. What can I say? Heats the place up for show. So I said, well, I got to rip them out and put in some LEDs. They're like a couple $100 if you get nice ones. But there's 18 of them. I got to waste what the time. I got to pull these down, and I never like messing with stuff like that. She's just like, get a bunch of 4Ks. Awesome. Yeah, now I just need a PC with that can handle 4K LEDs. Good luck finding those video cards, huh? So, anyways, here we are at Forex.Today, and it's our opportunity to set ourselves up for a successful week. And it's an interesting week. Okay? It's going to be an interesting week, faux show. Now, it is the beginning of the quarter, and the first Monday after non-farm payrolls typically is Mutual Fund Monday. What does that mean? It means mutual funds have cashed out of things, right? There's rebalancing, which means you tell your clients you're going to hold, let's say, 5% of emerging market stocks. Well, what happens if those stocks go up in value and maybe some of your domestic stocks go down in value? You might be holding 7% of your portfolio in emerging markets, right? So how does that help, right? You actually have to get out. You have to cash out some because, that's going against your disclosure document. So that's called rebalancing when you cash out of some and get out of some of your losers, and you're underweighted on domestic, you're overweighted on emerging market. So you got to rebalance. Restructuring is different, and we've been talking about how the first quarter was probably going to be a lot of restructuring, and you had that big crash in the stock market. And that's where you say, well, for the last 3 or 4 years, you've had a portfolio that does well when the Fed is tapering. But now we're in the next stage where the Fed is raising interest rates, and so you need to change. You need to change somewhere, change your portfolio. That's restructuring, not rebalancing. But so in that sort of process, mutual funds, for example, may have gone to cash on that big drop that we had in January. Let's just say part of that was mutual funds cashing out. Do mutual funds just jump right back in like traders? Cash out of 12 trades yesterday, in 12 trades today? Or do they tend to hold their cash a little longer? Right, the answer is probably a little longer, where they decide, let's say, let's say they had a meeting in the fourth quarter of last year, and they said, you know what? As soon as we hit January, we should cash out of some positions and restructure our portfolio. Now, why would they cash out in January and not December? Taxes. So it makes sense, right? So they come to work and they're like, all right, so as soon as we get to work, we should cash out of everything we want to cash out of. Everything that's not going to do well in a scenario where interest rates are going up. Okay, so they cash out of that. And then what do? They sit around and they bring in consultants to tell them what the future is going to be like, and they have team meetings to discuss what 2016 is going to be like, and what are the opportunities, what's our vision for the next 5 years, all that kind of stuff. You can imagine what it's like to work at a mutual fund, right? You go to Pebble Beach for 4 or 5 days, and one day you talk stocks and equities and bonds, and you actually do your job, and the other days you go golfing and get a massage, right? And you come out of this retreat, right? They come out of this retreat and they're like, you know what? We're going to do X, Y, and Z with our portfolio, which means, they cashed out in January, and maybe just, March and then April, May, they're buying back in to stuff they're going to hold for at least a year, but their time frame, their time horizon, I'm guessing, is probably closer to 3 years, right? A mutual fund, they're not terribly active in my mind. I mean, you can get yourself into any kind of investment, but generally, I don't think the turnover is that high, right? So anyways, long story short, the Monday after non-farm payrolls is probably a good time because that big event risk is gone now, right? And it's a new quarter, it's a new month. Maybe start buying some dips. You know what I mean? Start that process. Does that make sense? So we call that Mutual Fund Monday. I know it's weird, but you can kind of sit down and say, all right, if this turns green today, if I see green candles on the stock market open, I want to be long and strong. And if you have the tenacity, if you are a tenacious trader, maybe you just do some research and say, well, what's the first Monday of the quarter after non-farm payrolls like? Is it generally up or is it generally down? And maybe you come back and say, well, Wayne, I researched it over the last 20 years. This is what it's like. Can you tell me? Maybe I'm wrong. Could be a rabbit, could be. Okay, great. All right, so let's do it on the calendar. I got to get my marker. Un momento, por favor. Oh, speaking about speaking Spanish. Yeah, I guess I have to do a quick trip to Panama, huh? Get some of my money back. What was that all about? I haven't done it. I haven't got the reading yet on it. All right, so where did it go? Drawing tool. Marco Polo drawing tool. Oh, here it is. Again, another problem when you got so many screens. All right, let's go through this. We got an FOMC speaker. Well, we're already confused, right? And I don't think this dude is a voter. So, all right, fine. Factory orders, as long as it's not a bad number, we're going to be happy with that. Mr. Pelosi, Bank of Canada Governor Pelosi speaks. Yeah, I'm interested in that. The Canadian economy and stuff, but I don't think oil's going to go up. Do you remember when we were at 25 or 30, I said it would go to 40. I don't think it would go to 50, but 40-ish, and then went back down to 30-ish, and then up to 40-ish, and down to 30-ish. And I think we're going to be sideways for a while. 5 months, 5 years. I don't know. We'll see when demand kicks in, but it might be a long drive, right? And I remember telling you guys that when I grew up as a kid in Canada, the Canadian dollar was 50 cents. So an American could come in and everything was half price, right? So we're right now at $1.30 on the USD CAD. 2.0 is within reason. Think about that, right? Isn't that interesting? So I don't know if that's on the way, but if what was the Canadian dollar worth when we hit 26, right? $26 a barrel. And then see, maybe we'll just kind of we'll hover around there. Okay, so anyways, Some, what is this, Aussie trade balance? Yeah, that's interesting because the balance of payments for Australia. Let me just double check that, right? Yeah, it's Australia. Sorry, I can't see the Southern Cross that well here, but anyways, or the Southern Star. Oh yeah, Australia trade balance. Is it supposed to be a negative number? Negative 3 billion last month. Their forecast negative 2.55 billion. That's supposed to be a big positive number. Wah, wah, wah. And as long as this is a big negative number, the textbooks would tell you you should be short the Aussie dollar unless your alpha, your ability to outsmart the market, suggests, or your studies and your research suggests that, yes, it's a negative number, but the trend is improving, meaning the bottom has been hit. Last month, let's just call it at negative 3 billion. This month is forecast to be negative 2.5 billion. Yeah, that's an improvement by $500 million. See what I mean? So maybe your alpha is, okay, it's negative, but the trend is up. And, your 3-year outlook will be, pretty soon that'll be plus 3 billion. And you'll be filthy stinking rich, cornering the market on the Aussie dollar when no one else was doing it. I buy that as long as you tell me straight face that's what you want to do. Oh, by the way, yeah, let's get on to that. Oh, you like the haircut? Thank you. I got the shave and the haircut, the straight razor shave, and I got the 7-step facial blah blah blah. What a loser. Loser. So anyways, but I appreciate you like the back of my neck. Okay. So anyways, blah, 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 blah. Oh, mouse. Lost my mouse. Okay, here we go. So Japanese PMI, who cares? PMI, who cares? All right. Interest rates out of the RBA. Should we pay attention? Should we skip Asia that day? Forget about it. It's only Australia. It's only an OECD country, right? No, we got to be there, yo. The RBA interest rate decision. Yeah. When that news comes out, if they don't raise interest rates, the Aussie is going to move. If they do raise interest rates, the Aussie is going to move. If they cut interest rates, the Aussie is going to move. You should watch that because the Aussie is going to move. So be there or be square, right? Who's going to be there? Some of you guys live in Europe. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, so what? That's what traders all around the world do. You know what I mean? No, I'll be sleeping, dude. No, yeah, it's like I don't know. What is that for me? It's like 7 o'clock in the evening. It's no big deal. Yeah, 93% no change. Yeah, but what are we going to learn? That's more. You're right. So. Well, Joseph, you would trade it like any other high volatility event driven strategy. It's not a fundamental trade, it's a technical scalp. My experience with Aussie interest rate decisions, but even in particular Aussie jobs report, is that it's a stop and reverse trade. And so typically if I get in a trade and I quickly make, 50, 60, 70 pips on a scalp, my past experience, whether it's right or wrong, is irrelevant. But what's burned in my brain is that I should take the money and run. Other currencies, I might just jab my stop and say, look, man, I'm up 70 pips, But if I let this run, by tomorrow I'll be up 150 pips, right? Just like let it run, it'll pull back and then it'll extend and and all that kind of stuff. And I won't get out unless I make 250 pips, right? Not Aussie dollar. Many times I've been up like 100 pips profit. I got my stop at break even. I'm like, I'm gonna let this sucker run. That was such a big event, that's going to change everything fundamentally. And this is going to go. I could be in this for a week. I could be in this for a month. 12 hours later, I'm busted out at break even. Straight up 100 pips, straight down 100 pips. Oh! So I don't do that anymore on the Aussie. And that might be wrong, but that's what's in my brain. Okay. So just whatever, just any other news event type strategy, Joseph. All right, cool. UK news, yeah, sure. As long as it's good, right? So we've had many discussions lately on the pig, the Great British Pound. You're either a bull or a bear. You need to have it written down. So did you guys write it down? I asked you to go through the major currencies, and I want it like a slide for every currency. Great British Pound, bull or bear or neutral, and 3 or 4 bullet points why. You could say Grexit, for example. That's it. Just have like some common sense on what you're going to do over the next 3 months. Okay? So you should know if you're buying these dips. You know what I mean? Pig Dog 4 hour says up for 2 days. That's what it says to me. So as long as you're looking. Okay, so anyways, some more news. As long as it's good, boom. That's all I care. As long as it's not bad, okay? Some trade balance in the United States. All right, fine. Look at the difference, though. Minus 45.68 billion. Right? Trade balance out of Australia is only negative 2.5 billion. America's a little bit bigger than Australia, huh? If Felipe says, going back to the pig, it's in a range, right? 141 to 145. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it'll be October, and we'll say, oh man, we're back at 155. And I'll say, yeah, well, where were you at 140 when I talked about it until I was blue in the face, right? Only discussed it 1,258 times that maybe we're bottoming. Right? So if we're in that range, does that range mean a floor? Could be, right? Could be. Could be. Could be. Don't know, right? So you got to play it. You got to get in the game. So that's why I say, like, in the second quarter, is it going to go up? Maybe. Well, why are the maybes? Give me 3, 4 bullet points, right? And then trade it. Jam your stop. If they're good trades, if you buy dips to support, you're probably not going to lose money. And if you do, it probably won't be much money. But even if you're wrong, if you buy its support, you probably jam your stop. You probably will make money, even if you're wrong. Because your tactics are good, but your strategy could be screwed up, right? You could be the only idiot on the planet buying the Great British Pound, but at least you did it at support when it was oversold and it bounced. You could still make money being an idiot, right? Because your strategy is wrong, but your tactics are so good, right? You're kicking down the wrong door, but other than that, the technique was brilliant. Right? So, great, fine. I'd rather you have great tactics and mediocre strategy than great strategy and lousy tactics. Right? Because we all know you could be right on strategy, like I want to buy the Great British Pound and lose money. Okay? So, I don't know. I'm just begging you, please make a decision. Please. I don't know why you put this off. It's the first Monday of the quarter. Do something different. Change your life. Change your world. Change your outlook. Change your behavior. Be a successful Forex trader starting today. Okay? Do you think you get a job at a hedge fund if they sit you down and interview you and say, all right, we're going to give you $100 million to play with? What's your outlook in the British pound? I have no idea, dude. I just fly by the seat of my pants. Boom, 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 boom. Today I'm long and strong. Woohoo! I like to trap it at the London Open. Yeah, throw down that straddle. But I don't really know where it's going to go. It's just funny. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So you need to change your behavior, man. Starting today, just do it. Just right? What would your mother say? Shut your mouth. Just do it. Yes, mom. Right? Tell me. Put it on. Well, don't tell me. Tell yourself. Put it down on a piece of paper. Write it down. Great British Pound. GBP. Bull. Why? Boom, 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 boom. 4 bullet points. Put it on the wall. And if you read my book, I actually ask you to do it with a stinky felt tip marker. Big, fat, permanent, stinky marker. The stinkiest, the best. If you use your kids' markers, you know, the ones that smell like licorice or something, even better. Because every time you smell licorice, you're like, I want to buy the British pound. You're like, right? You're just like a dog. Right? Woo, woo. Ring a bell and you just want to buy the pound. That's how you need to train yourself. And of course, you could laugh at me and say I'm ridiculous and I'm a fool, and that's great. Good, good. I guess your way works, right? All right. So then we move on .com. Canadian trade balance. You know, is anyone buying oil? Apparently not. ISM manufacturing or services, right? ISM services. This is a good one. This is a good one. ISM services, great opportunity to make some skippy scalpies on that. Okay. The employment index would be great if we got that over 50. Right? So yeah, tradable, but you know, we know the trend. The trend's fine. In the United States, the trend is slow but up. Good. I mean, that's fine. I don't expect anything off trend. The data's fine. We even have more people entering the workforce now, right? I mean, it's good. Things are good here, man. Okay. Bank of Canada, Deputy Governor Wilkins, great. He's going to say something nice. Pay attention. Maybe it's important. Maybe it's not. Canadian dollar strong, eh? Okay. Okay. Some Chinese PMI. Yeah, you know what? Maybe on April 6th you play the Asian market. Good, right? Good. Could be a nice trade in there. Are we still here? Yeah, the internet dropped for a second there. I will use an avatar instead of the camera. Maybe save some bandwidth there. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. All right. Yeah, I got it. Hang on. I got to redo it all. Hang on. I'm almost done. Why are you making me wait? All right. Are we good now? Muy bien, says my Panamanian banker. Okay. All right, so anyways, Chinese PMI, yeah, that's going to be important, right? German industrial production, sure. Yeah, I'd like to see a good number, not a bad number there. Fine. Little skippy scalp there, right? Maybe pick up 20 pips. RBA talk. Well, that's after the report, right? So I guess they'll fabricate whatever they want. So if the report's good, they'll talk it down, and if it's bad, they'll talk it up. But you know, if you're trading in Asia, anyways, be careful there, right? Canadian IVPMI, yeah, that's usually a pretty good one. Nice little skippy scalp. You usually pick up, you know, what, 20, 25 pips on that thing. Oh, did you lose it again? Yeah, it went away. Wow, hang on. Why would it go away? Weird. Yeah, you did see it though, right? All right. Okay, we're back, right? Now you can see it again. Weird. Weird. Okay, so anyways, Canadian IVPMI is usually a good one. Wednesday's oil inventories, good. So what do you think? Is the Canadian dollar going to move on April 6th? Yeah. Okay, good. So trade that. FOMC member speaking, great. And just after that, FOMC meeting minutes. This is going to be interesting. Hey, Melissa. Actually, there's quite a few newer folks in the room, huh? Where did you guys hear of this event, or you know, or Forex.Today, or this particular webinar? Where'd you guys? Yeah, Dubai. Oh, okay. You heard over at FX Street. Cool. Google search. Right on. This is from Tampa, huh? Whoop whoop. Soros told me about it. Yeah, Georgie. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys. Woohoo! So some of you know I've been taking classes at Harvard for a year and a half. Fine, but they're just classes, right? They're just classes. But I applied for an elite graduate program to go to grad school at Harvard. Elite. They just announced in the 2020 class for all of Harvard, 40,000 people. This is just Harvard now. 40,000 people applied to go to Harvard for the 2020 class, which is the year you graduate. 40,000 applied, they took 2,000. So that's what, 95% rejection rate? I'm pretty sure idiots don't apply to Harvard, right? So they're all smart. But 95% got rejection letters. Well, I applied for a particular program, right, a graduate level program. And so as I was applying and doing all the interviews and putting in all their stuff, I talked to the admissions person. I said, "So, how many people do you expect to take for this particular class or this this program?" She said 15, and I'm like, 15, like 1,500? No, a dozen, maybe a little more. A dozen! Oh, snap! I'm not going to have much of a chance. A dozen! So, I got my letter of acceptance, guys. Boop, 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 boop. OMG. OMG. Holy smokes. So yeah, I'm in grad school now. Holy smokes. Starting June, actually. Holy smokes. Yeah, gonna have a graduate degree from Harvard University. Holy, if I can, it's a 4-year program. Holy smokes, eh? Because it's part-time. But whew, even just to get in is like a big thumbs up. So cool, man. Coolio. Just like crazy. You're like, really? Really? Oh man, they must be desperate or something, right? I guess, I guess only 11 people applied or something like that. Wouldn't that be funny? She says that they're going to accept, 12, maybe 15. You get to the class and there's only 11 people in the room. You're like, oh yeah, no wonder. Yeah, wicked smart. So anyways, for the next 4 years, with the same dozen kids, we're 40, 50-year-olds, but it's a cohort. So for the next 4 years, I study with the same dozen people. And I'll have to spend summers in Boston living on campus. Just really cool, man. It's a super awesome program. So don't laugh at me, Wayne. What a Harvard grad. What a loser. Who goes to Harvard? It's basically just a management type program with and then my particular focus, because we all take the same classes, but then you can tweak it to your particular needs. And so mine is on finance and capital markets. But it's a management degree with a focus on finance and capital markets, right? So just think of a banker. Economics, finance, portfolio management, but I don't know. So anyways. No. Oh no, Bruno, no. I'm here, dude. I have to cut back on some other things. So like I told you guys, I'll probably stop mentoring. And actually, I don't have anyone for April. So if you want to jump in, I think by June I'm not mentoring people anymore. I just don't have the time. So if you seriously want a one-on-one mentorship for the month, I have this month and maybe never again. So anyways, let's move on .com. What's going on? Some industrial production of Germany. Oh, yep, did that one. IVPMI did that. Crude oil inventory is great. That's a nice scalp. FOMC meeting minutes. Okay, this is one where you read it. And this is going to be important because remember how in December they said there was going to be 4 rate hikes? Then a month later, they're like, no. It's 2 rate hikes. And a month after that, they're like, no. There might only be 1 rate hike. Okay? So we need to go back to these meeting minutes because it's the actual minutes of the FOMC meeting. We need to figure out what the hell were they thinking? Because apparently we don't know. Bruno, it's a 4-year degree, 4-year program, not a 2-year program. So I think even when I'm living in Cambridge, I can still wake up in the morning. I'm still interested in the markets. I still gotta make money, right? So I still got to play the markets, and then and I'm sure, I doubt classes start at 7 in the morning, right? So I'll still have time for Forex. I'll still have time to do these webinars and stuff. But my extracurricular activities, traveling around the world, speaking at conferences, mentoring people, some of the other fun things, that'll be tough. But these webinars, I think, are golden. They make me a better man. So, yeah, crude oil inventories, yeah, CAD and crude futures, yeah, absolutely, Kevin. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Okay, but anyways, fundamentally, guys, this FOMC meeting minutes is probably the most important meeting minutes in a very, very, very long time. Because again, how could you go from 4 to 2 to 1 in 3 months? So, and so we really need to figure out who's saying what. And I think what's happening, if you pay attention to the speeches and stuff, out of the voting members of the FOMC, I think like 4 people want interest rates to go up and 2 people don't. One of them is Janet Yellen. So the dot plots in December said 4. because you look at the average of all the dot plots, right? So everyone's like, we got to raise, man. We got to raise. We got to raise. And Janet's like, no. Yeah, Granny says, "Nyet." So that's where we're going. She's holding it back. So dot plots say 4. She comes back, no. Right? 9, 9. So I don't know. Right? I don't know. It's interesting. So let's read that. I mean, you can read it like it's a soap opera, right? Or it's like watching The Bachelor. Did you see what she said? Oh, she's so wicked. Well, now you can read like, who said what at the FOMC meeting? Oh, I hate that guy. He always says that. You know, if people only paid attention to these things like they pay attention, like, you know, sports. I want to go to a bar and I want TV screens everywhere and their financial charts and it's CNBC and Bloomberg and stuff like that going on. And I could just look up and see the S&P 500 1-minute chart, right? I got another one, the 2-5 spread in real time. I'm walking around like, yeah, man, ticker tapes going all over the place for stock markets around the world. I can just glance at Shanghai and look at Frankfurt and like, boom! I love this bar. That's my bar. I should do it. I should just do it. Right? Shut your mouth and do it. Just do it. That's my bar. Right? Okay, so then, it doesn't even mention this, is it? Is it the Thursday one? They don't even mention this. Okay, see how it says Federal Reserve Chairperson Janet Yellen speaks. No, 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 no. I think this is it. This is Thursday, right? Get this, guys. Janet Yellen is on stage with Ben Bernanke, Alan Greenspan, and Paul Volcker. Oh yeah, and they're mud wrestling. Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Is it? It might be oil wrestling. I don't know. I think it's mud. It's just better on that old skin, right? Yeah, Grandma yelling and Jello. Yeah, no. I mean, awesome, right? Janet Yellen, Ben Bernanke, Paul Volcker, Alan Greenspan, right? The 4 horse women, men, people, four horse people. Yeah, how cool, right? Seriously, I want tickets. Get me tickets. So anyways, that's Ripper. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's never happened before. And by the way, Paul Volcker, let's go back in time, actually. Janet Yellen, she's good. She ran San Francisco quite well, but she was always sort of like whatever, Ben Bernanke's shadow, right? But she was the one that correctly pointed out the risk in the real estate market well before the crash. Okay, so she's smart. She ain't no dope. Ben Bernanke was pretty radical. I mean, he was a specialist in the Depression in particular, and I have his book actually on the Depression. I bought it the day he was elected chairman of the Federal Reserve. I bought his textbook from Princeton when he taught economics at Princeton, and I bought his book. He wrote a series of papers on the Great Depression. Boom, first thing I did, right? And he was really radical in getting us out of the financial crisis, coordinated responses and stuff, did some really good things, right? So, he's earned it. Then you have Greenspan, who they thought was a god. They treated him like he was a golden idol for a long time, like literally hanging on every word he said. Okay, fine. And then right at the end of his career, people started blaming him for the process. But, this guy was a sage, so to speak, right? Um, but if you listen to experts, I forget who was talking about it, they just said Alan Greenspan was a hack of an economist that failed and got kicked out of Wall Street, so he went to Washington. I forget who it was that said that, but he says, he's a hack. Couldn't handle it on Wall Street, so he went to Washington and found a job, right? But anyways, but Paul Volcker, you probably know the least about. So there's the Fed sitting there in Washington D.C. and inflation in the United States has been up and up and up and up and up. Okay, super high inflation, low growth, stagflation, right? That kind of stuff. And Paul Volcker becomes head of the Fed, and he doesn't really tell anybody, but he knows what the problem is: inflation. And he says, "I'm going to kill it. I'm going to put an end to this." Seriously. He walks into the Fed, says, "Inflation's dead. I'm going to kill it." But how do you kill inflation? You crush the economy and tank it and put the economy at the bottom of the ocean. He did it purposely. Ho, 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 ho. Right? We had all those years of super high rampant inflation, and he crashed the economy. 2 years later, we're golden. It was a horrible years, and then the next 20 years, 30 years, Alan Greenspan gets all this credit because, under his tutelage, the economy grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. It was probably Paul Volcker that did it. He crushed inflation, so he lowered inflation, cleaned house, a lot of bad debt went away, right? And then we refinanced everybody, and the economy just grew, and you had the 80s and, the me generation, Wall Street just boomed. Yeah, there were some crashes, in 87 and stuff like that, but generally speaking, it was all the way up for between then and 2007. It was generally up with some dips, right? Some big dips, but not necessarily the Fed's fault. So anyways, a lot of people would say, well, that was Paul Volcker, not Alan Greenspan. And Alan Greenspan was the problem of letting it run too far, too fast, right? That he did too little in 2000 and whatever it was, 2002, that he didn't handle that well. So really, Paul, Alan Greenspan's winning years had to do with Paul Volcker's policy, and the policy was tough. So, anyways, interesting. So, yeah, get some tickets, right? Watch that. So, lots of UK news on Friday. Pay attention. The Great British Pound's going to move on Friday. Canadian jobs report on Friday. Guess what? CAD's going to move on Friday, right? So just think of it now. CAD's going to move on Friday. Great British Pound's going to move on Friday. What are you going to do it? Are you going to wait for Friday, or are you going to do it a few days earlier, right? Oro, so you don't have any charts? You guys have charts, right? Do you see screen? Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jimmy. All right. So what is this? March 16th. That's not. Yeah. So it didn't update, huh? It should be. Yeah. Where one it didn't update yet. Hallelujah. That's not Oh, I'm looking at. Oh, yeah. No. Okay, it is good. Okay, good. Commitment of traders report. La 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 la. Okay, euro. Do you see a net change? Okay, but you know, check this out. The red line there is price. So we went from here to here. It looks like it went up, right? Did anything happen in positions? No. So there might have been some profit taking at some point of something, but really people are getting back, right? They're buying back in. So no need to be radical on the euro, which tells me even if the Fed only raises interest rates once or twice this year, they're still raising interest rates once or twice this year, versus the eurozone, which has negative interest rates and quantitative easing. So how could the euro possibly get strong? People might be getting out of the US dollar. Let's put it in reverse, right? Because these lines are euro. Okay, so let's look at this. There's the change in price in the euro versus the USD. Okay? I want to make sure you're paying attention here. Okay, there's sellers, there's buyers of the euro. Did anyone buy euro? No. Did anybody sell euro? No. Did anybody trade euro? Not in a month, not in a month and a half, not even in 2 months. So what happened? This is the value of the euro relative to the dollar. So what happened? Dollar index went down. Hallelujah. Right? You see what I mean? Pig. Okay? A lot of people got shaken out of buying. That big spike there from this low to this high, that's buyers of the Great British Pound. Okay? Little slight increase in sellers as buyers disappeared as well. So that was a pretty sharp decline. But as I've been prepping you, right around now, end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, the idea is we're moving up from here. I'm hoping, maybe, if things go right. I don't know about Brexit, but everything else suggested that. And remember, we talked about this 12 months ago. Okay? So you can call it luck, but whatever. Fooling yourself, girl. Come on now. Yen yen. Okay. What's going on here? Those are buyers. Those are sellers. Again, not much activity. Seems like a lot of dollar weakness here. Oops. Right? Where are we now? What is that? Let me turn that on. Here's the price. Yeah, 111, huh? Wow. Yeah, if you sold the Dixie, we're right in the middle of the 2155 on the 4-hour with the daily Stokes pointed down. But remember, do you guys remember what my plan was? Remember, buy it at 110 and it went to like, what was it, 113 or something? Do you guys remember very, very specifically? I said it would come back down to 110, and I'd like to buy it around 110, or at least it looked like it would, and that's where I'd want it to. I'd want it to come down so I can buy it at 110. Does anybody remember that? No? No? That it would move sideways between now and August, and that I'd like to keep picking it up at 110. Hans, that's why I got to get my money out. That's all I'm saying, Hans. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I like Putin's response, right? My name is on none of those papers. Well, yeah, they're all shell corporations. That's exactly why your name wouldn't be on it. Right? So, Mr. Putin, you're saying if you were laundering money, you would put it in your own name? Is that right? Yes, friends, no, they call those rat holes. If you ever watched The Wolf of Wall Street, right? They're rat holes. Yeah, I don't like that movie at all. I was very, very disappointed in that movie, but there's some funny scenes. And there's some unbelievably stupid scenes. I don't know how a director can do something so brilliant when they're young and then later in life do work and it's stupid. And you're like, really? Wow. Like, how about the sequel to Wall Street, right? Gordon Gekko bumps into Bud Fox at a party. You're like, did they just cameo in the middle of a movie? With Charlie Sheen, he looks like crap. Like, seriously? They didn't just do that, did they? Oy vey. Golly. Or I like Gordon Gekko. He's like, yeah, I just got out of prison. I'm in this, I'm in this $200,000 a month apartment, but it's a rental. And then, like, 3 months later, yeah, I made $30 million. Right? Another 3 months goes by. Yeah, I'm in Singapore. I made $100 million. By the end of the movie, he's like, yeah, I'm a billionaire again. It was just that easy. It was not a problem. You're like, you just skipped over like a ton of detail. But people liked the original movie because it had so much detail. It was interesting. You learned a lot about merger arbitrage. So, anyways, diatribe. Aussie. Some people buying Aussie. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay. Look at the trend here for the longest time. And then this year, maybe, whoop, whoop, whoop. Aren't we talking about this? Don't we have interest rate decision this week? Yup. Charlie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're right, Charles. You're so right. Inside his comment, he's like, yeah, don't talk like that in Russia. No, no, no. Okay, so Kiwi Dog, very similar. Lots of little spikes in here, and I think that's just people trying to catch the higher yield, right? They're a little more aggressive, which means they get out more quickly on the way out. But these things don't seem to be falling as much, right? But more importantly, do you see this stuff up here? That's the amount of short positions. Okay? and this moves sideways, right? These are long positions, so no one really increasing their buying, but lots of selling pressure going away. Just remember, less people selling just means less of a headwind. Okay, and this starts to kind of go this way now. So less people selling for about 6 months. And now, over the last 3 months, some buying pressure. Now, there's a big collapse here when they cut interest rates, but then they started buying it back. It's a very interesting thing, isn't it, to observe? Don't you think? Okay. So people are getting out of their shorts and slowly buying dips. What is your policy in regards to the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen? You know, right now, I don't know if it's important, but we're actually touching the daily 21 right this second. But if you're looking at the daily oscillator, it says this could be down for another week. So I might be interested in buying the Kiwi yen around, what do you think, 75, 74? So I'm thinking let the Kiwi yen drop 250 to 300 pips and then buy it. Isn't it nice to think about this ahead of time instead of just keep reacting to markets? Yeah, let's. And then what if you thought it was actually going to fall? You're like, yeah, Wayne said it's going to fall 250 pips and then he's going to buy it. Well, couldn't you sell it for 250 pips and then buy it? That means short-term short to long-term long. That's called a trade plan. And it's nice to have a strategy because then you're not so shocked all the time, right? The only time you should be shocked in Forex is when it blows right through a key pivot or a key moving average. You're like, really? Right? Somebody sold it there? What a bunch of losers. And you're just surprised that it just fell right through it. That support. And maybe you bought it at support. Maybe you were thinking about buying it and never got the op. But you should. That's only when you should be surprised when you're like, what kind of loser did that? Thank God I didn't get in. Okay. Kitty cat, check that out. Oh. USD cat. Oh, parity. So we're actually neutral, huh? It's amazing, isn't it? So we're back to neutral. Yeah, this updated. Yeah. So, anyways, so time to go. Tomorrow we'll do all technical analysis. I think we've been talking a lot lately. I think we should just do. Maybe I should just like mute my mic and I just pure technical analysis. But we got a lot going on here. It's the beginning of the month. Oh, by the way, did you buy euro dollar at the 4-hour 21? Yeah, you probably did, huh? All right, so you're golden. Easy peasy, right? Yeah, Manny got it. Good job. Well, CAD, if you're selling CAD, you're right between the 4-hour 21.55 and you're actually tickling, I think it's a monthly pivot point, and just above that is the daily 21 acting as resistance, right? Cool. Nice. Good job, guys. So we'll do technical analysis like crazy tomorrow. Will you be here? I hope so. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Please have a wonderful day. a wonderful week, a wonderful month, a wonderful quarter. That means doing the right things. This is your opportunity to handle things differently. Say, you know what, this is a new quarter. I'm going to behave a little differently. I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to focus on what I think is going to happen for the next 90 days. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to behave differently this time. So again, peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. See you tomorrow. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day.